Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again, it is Sunday, and that means it's time for the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. First of all, I hope you guys like the new camera. This is the camera that was recently provided to me by my good friend, the doctor. I'm now recording this on a Sony ZV-1 vlogging camera, so I hope you guys like the quality. But let's talk about this week's poll question. We all know that right now in current events, one of the biggest news stories going on that affects the Second Amendment in the long term, I think, is the Kyle Rittenhouse case. A lot of people are very emotional about this. And one of the things I always tell people when it comes to anything, whether it be news, current events, or legislation, is we have to, on both sides, try to do our best to remove the emotions from the argument and look at things from a rational and logical perspective. But I wanted to find out what you guys think about Kyle Rittenhouse's guilt or innocence. Or is there something in between where you think he falls? Well, let's dive right into this week's question, and then we're going to get your results. Continuing the trend of using current events for the poll question, this week I want to ask you about the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. Many in the mainstream and anti-gun media are attempting to portray him as guilty, while others on the pro-gun side are labeling him as a hero. In your opinion, is he guilty or innocent? Or maybe something in between? As the story goes, there's always three sides to a story. There's one person's side, the opposing side, and then there's the truth. And I think that the facts always tend to lead towards the truth, something in the middle that actually happened. Now, we know as this trial is going on, a lot of information has come out. And to be very honest with you, from a legal perspective, it doesn't look very good for the prosecution. We all know that many of the witnesses that they have called have actually validated the story of Kyle Rittenhouse. Some people are also getting into the world of conspiracy theories and think that the prosecution is actually trying to throw the case because they know he is innocent. Now, if you actually dive into the case, of course, there's a lot of questions that need to get answered, such as, why was he there? Why did he choose to go there? And should he have injected himself in the situation? Some other people are talking about crossing state lines, and he was a minor at the time, and he had an AR-15, which technically is illegal. Did he cross state lines? Is that some type of major penalty which makes every action that he does after that moment completely illegal and felonious, and he is a first-degree murderer? Or does the fact that maybe he was in possession wrongfully of a gun, even though he was a minor, does that negate his right of self-defense? Well, let's see what you guys have to say with this week's results. With 1,100 votes, we have 100% innocent, he did nothing wrong, and is being overcharged, 26%. Innocent, but he still made poor choices leading up to the event, 57%. Somewhat guilty, he made poor choices but should be found guilty, 8%, and 100% guilty, he is totally to blame and is a murderer, 7%. And then finally we have something else, explain in the comments. So what I tried to do with this week's poll question options is give people as much variation as possible. Of course, I knew some people were going to say he is 100% completely innocent. And then there's going to be people that say he is 100% guilty. But I wanted to give people something in between. You can say, well, he shouldn't have been there. He did something wrong. He should be found innocent, though. Or you think he should still be found guilty, but maybe not on these murder charges. So something in between. And of course, the fifth option always is something else, explain in the comments. Now let's go over each one of these and we'll kind of break them down and I'll give you guys my opinions. First of all, we have 100% innocent. He did nothing wrong and is being overcharged. Now this got a lot of votes, 26%. I personally think, from looking at this case from the outside and understanding law to the little degree that I do, I don't think this is the case that he is 100% innocent. You know, the best way to win a gunfight is to not get involved in a gunfight. Why was he there? Now, I do believe his motives were noble. He was there trying to render aid to people, regardless of where they fell on the political spectrum. He's on camera saying as such. And it looks like the actions that led up to the whole event where he ended up having to be discharging a weapon was actually he was trying to prevent people from lighting a gas station on fire. All of these are very good things. So I do not believe he went there with any type of malintent. He didn't go there wanting to hurt people. In fact, the opposite is true. He's on record and on video trying to render aid to people that were injured. Is that the motives and the actions of someone that is there to do harm? I don't think so. However, he did make one crucial mistake in my opinion. He shouldn't have been there. And I think that's the way it should go for a lot of people. Now, I know that there's a saying that says, evil can triumph when good men do nothing. And obviously, he wants to be a good person. But the times that we live in today, with the litigious nature of the lawyers, the court system, and of course politics, when it comes to these types of events, I think that if you have no personal stake in the outcome, you should not get yourself involved. Now, if this would have been in his personal hometown or his personal neighborhood, it would have changed everything. But he traveled to another place, regardless if it was in his state or not. He really had no horse in this race, except just wanting to be a good citizen of the United States. But that, I don't think, is enough. He should not have gotten involved. And I think personally that is the biggest mistake that he made that night. Just simply being there. Now, does that mean that any action that he committed where somebody got killed or injured, it's his fault? Absolutely not. Regardless of where you're at, and even if you're carrying a firearm illegally, you should still have the right to self-defense. I don't think he's 100% innocent though. As I said, he chose to be there. He chose to inject himself in a situation. He was carrying a firearm that he should not have had. Now, I personally believe politically he should have that, but as the law stands, he was a minor, and maybe he shouldn't have had that rifle. But that does not mean the discharges of that rifle were wrong. Then we have innocent, but he still made poor choices leading up to the event, and this got the overwhelming majority of votes with 57%, and this is actually where I feel the truth lies. I personally believe that in the end, he's probably going to be found guilty on something, maybe possession of a firearm by a minor, maybe some type of trespassing charge, who knows. But when it comes to the actual murder charges, the manslaughter charges, I think he is 100% innocent of all of these actions. And the reason that I say so is that although he should not have had the gun, you still have the right to self-defense. So here in Texas, if you have a concealed carry license and you carry into an establishment that bars concealed carry, but you end up having to use that gun in self-defense, absolutely you should be found guilty of carrying a gun where you're not supposed to. But you still have the right to self-defense, and the actions, even though you were carrying the gun illegally, does not mean that all of a sudden you are a murderer and you are no longer allowed to defend yourself. I think this is kind of where the truth of the situation falls. He was obviously being chased. He was obviously under duress. People were trying to hurt him. He had threats against his life. We know on tape, we can hear people saying that they're going to kill him. So he was trying to flee. He's on record trying to flee, trying to get to the police. He was trying to avoid a confrontation, and the confrontation found him. But should he have been there? Probably not. Should he have been carrying the weapon? Probably not. But he still had to defend himself. And I still think when it comes to the major charges, he should be found innocent based on the evidence that we have. Now, politically, of course, I think he's 100% innocent. But if I take my emotions out of it, I believe he's guilty of just a couple of poor choices and maybe a very small crime of carrying a weapon when he shouldn't. But when it comes to murder or manslaughter, he's 100% innocent. Then we have somewhat guilty. He made poor choices but should be found guilty. Now, I can see that the people that voted for this, and I believe it was only 8%, which is kind of what I expected. Most of the people that are going to follow my channel are going to be pro-Second Amendment and, of course, support Kyle. I can definitely see where a lot of people might look at it just the way that I did, go, okay, he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been carrying the weapon. Maybe his interactions leading up to the event were not wise, and therefore he should be held responsible because he antagonized them. He escalated the situation in which he had to defend himself. So some culpability needs to be put on him, but the book shouldn't be thrown at him, and he's not a first-degree murderer. Then we have 100% guilty, he is totally to blame, and is a murderer, 7%. I was really surprised that this many people voted for it. Even though it's only 7%, as I said, my channel is pretty pro-Second Amendment, and I really thought would be on his side. But some people seem to think that it is all his fault. Personally, I don't think the evidence weighs out. He was being attacked, he was being followed, he was being chased. You had somebody reaching for your gun. I can tell you that when I conceal carry, if somebody tried to reach for my gun, all I can imagine is if they get that firearm, they're going to turn it on me. You have now attacked me, and for me, that is a threat against my life, and I'm going to have to do everything I possibly can to make sure that that threat is neutralized. I never want to discharge a weapon in self-defense. I never want to hurt another human being, and I pray that is the case for the rest of my life. But I can tell you, if somebody else decides that they are going to try to kill me, my family, hurt me, or do some type of irreparable harm, well, I'm going to have to defend myself legally and lawfully. And if that means I having to discharge my weapon, it means I have to discharge my weapon. And then finally, something else explained in the comments, only 2%. But going through the comments, I can tell you that most people seem to think he's guilty or innocent, and definitely think that the decisions of him being there play a huge factor. But with that said, and now you guys know where I stand, let's see what the top rated comments are for this week and what you guys have to say. With the top rated comment of the week, we have Rogue Leader 711, who says, "This is the best textbook case of self-defense I have ever seen. The self-control this young man displayed bordered on superhuman, to only act when an imminent threat was upon him, while attempting to retreat and trying not to engage or instigate further aggression. This should be the model going forward, and his case should have been dismissed a long time ago." Now, I definitely understand where he's coming from, and I tend to agree with about 95% of it. The only thing he could have done better is not been there in the first place. As I said, I don't think he had much of a horse in this race. If people want to burn down their own city, if they want to vote for politicians that are going to defund the police, and then their town burns to the ground, their businesses are destroyed, they're robbed, you have family members that are murdered by rioters, well, you voted for it, you wanted it. I have no stake to that town, so I'm just going to let it burn. And I know what some people are going to say, that I'm a bad person. However, you have to look at the political ramifications of your actions. You have to wait until you are directly involved to get involved. But I understand, and I think he's 95% correct with this sentiment. Then we have Larry Seal, who says, "Completely justified self-defense." Well, I don't think I can add to that at all, and as I said, I agree with 95 to 99% of that. Then we have a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, and they say he shouldn't have put himself in the situation in the first place, but having been put in that situation, he did what he had to do. And that, I think, sums up my thoughts exactly. Then we have Joe Morgan, who says he made poor choice of being caught out in enemy territory alone, should have moved cohesive as a unit, but for 17 he handled it well, and I'd have shot sooner. So a lot of people are commending him for not firing, not being the aggressor earlier. I've seen the footage that has been released. He tried to escape. Maybe he shouldn't have been there. When the situation, though, escalated to a point of danger, he tried to run, and it is shown he kept running and running. He kept saying friendly. He was trying to get out of there. So he was not trying to be an aggressor. He was not trying to overly engage them. He was not trying to attack them, and especially he was not trying to murder them. But should he have been there? Well, It's for you guys to decide, and I guess the jury will very soon. And then finally we have Cameron Stark, who says, you don't have to support Kyle Rittenhouse to be pro 2A. The guy took a rifle that he couldn't legally own and didn't belong to him across state lines to protect some destroyed property in a burnt out car lot. How can you claim self-defense when you knowingly put yourself in danger situation that you prepared for by bringing a rifle with you, which was purchased illegally through a straw purchase? He broke the law to get the gun. He was breaking the law by possessing it and going against the curfew in effect by being at the protests. Well, there you go. So that's someone who thinks he's guilty to some degree because of the choices that he made beforehand. And I think this is a logical argument. Do I think the jury's going to find him guilty because of this? I don't know. And I keep trying to put myself in the situation of Kyle. I keep thinking to myself, well, if I went to a situation knowing there could be a protest, there could be a fight, there could be a riot, how responsible am I if I end up having to defend myself with a firearm? I guess we just have to wait for all the facts to come out, and we will be waiting for the jury's decision. But to be honest with you, based off of the media coverage, the evidence that we've seen, and your sentiment here online, I think all bets are being placed that he will be found innocent, especially of the major charges. Now, will he be found guilty of anything? I think that's up for debate. But I definitely think when it comes to him having to unfortunately take someone else's life, I do believe he is in the clear. He was being chased. He was fearful for his life, and he had a right to be. The person that he shot said he was going to kill him. He tried to reach for his rifle and take it from him. And what expectation did he have that once he lost control of that rifle, it wouldn't be turned on him? It is a very unfortunate set of events. But as I said, I think the best advice I can give any of you, that if you want to win a gunfight, don't be involved in a gunfight. Be smart, have situational awareness, and don't get involved in situations that don't concern you. Even though you're a good person, sometimes you have to let communities burn because obviously that is what they want. It's what they vote for, and it's what they're out there doing. I have no stake in that game, and most likely many of you don't. Wait for it to come to your neighborhood. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the way the world is today. Just with the politics, the litigious nature of society, you just don't want to get involved. It is so unfortunate because I want good men and women doing good acts, saving our communities. But the way the world is, that might not always be beneficial, and some small mistake that you make could change your life forever for the worse. So there you go. That is the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. If you wish to participate in next week's poll, please go to the community tab of my YouTube channel. I will also put a link in the description below, which you can also find links to my second channel, which is like a behind the scenes casual channel, as well as my Patreon, Instagram, my email, and P.O. Box if you want to send me anything. So that's it, the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. I look forward to seeing your comments and you guys voting and liking other people's comments so we can get the top rated comments for next week's poll. So let me know if you have any questions. And as always, thanks for watching.